Hello everyone, my name is Travis Shava. This is AYCS's second video on Intro to Java, and today we're going to be talking about an array list, the for and while loops, and conditionals. If you didn't watch our first video talking about how to start your program, variables, and comments, you can go check that out in our channel. And so today we'll be talking about what I said, and I'm just going to start by running this code to see if it works, and it does. So you might be wondering, well, what is this code? And I will break it down to you today in this video so that you can also code something similar to this complex piece of code. So let's go ahead and get started here with the first thing I want to talk about. This piece, import java.util.ArrayList semicolon. What does this even mean? Well, Java is organized into many different packages or collections of classes, and an array list is in the java.util package. So to actually access and use this array list, we always have to import the array list. So we would do import java.util.ArrayList. And so this is how we will always create any array list. So now let's make our class. Like I said, if you want to go back and review on what classes are, or a basic what class is, I'll go into more depth later. You can go check out the first video, like I said, and our main starting method. I briefly explain what this is, but I'll explain more in depth once I get through the next few videos about the types of methods. So now that we have what we're up to, let's create our array list. So this is the syntax for array list. It always starts with okay, sorry, this is lagging a little bit. Array list. Alright, you always want to start with array list, capital letters. And then your type. So there's string, int, boolean, there's many other types, but those are the three main types. Array list, and then we can have string, for example. Just use string. Okay, let me think of one. Let's just use some names, right? Simply some names. And so you can see here we have array list, we have the type for the array list, string. It can only take strings in the list, and names, right? And then we can initialize it by having a new array list, and it already has the type string. So this is the syntax for an array list, and a list is just basically a collection that can hold many values at one time. So it's like a regular shopping list or something like that. You can think of it as that. And so now you're like, okay, well, what does this piece of line code even do? Well, it just initializes a list that is empty and has no values. So you might be thinking, okay, well, how do I add values? Well, what you can do is you can use the name, which in this case is ironically names, dot add. We'll use Bob, right? And this will add Bob to the array list of names. And we can also add Mike, right? And Mike to the array list of names. And we can add let's just go with Botch as a name. And these are three interesting names, and we added them to the array list of names. And so if you just run this right here, we gotta make sure it's with all these. Sorry, just some issue here. Okay, so you always want to make sure that you're using your brackets, and you see nothing as an output. because we haven't printed our names. So what we can do here is we can print the names. So let's go ahead and print out system.out.println. There's a few more things we need to go over here. Names. And what this will do is it will print out the names. So we got Bob, Mike, and Botch. So these are 3 names. And it will just print it out if you just do system.out.println names. And to add the names, it's just an add built-in function. Next, if we wanted to print out a specific name, let's say the one with the most aura, right? We can use Mike. So we'll do system.out.println, and we can do names.get, which is another built-in function in Java, and we can use 1. Now you might be wondering, what does 1 even mean? 1 is an index. When an ArrayList gets initialized, it is automatically given indexes. So or indices is probably a better term. So the first name that gets added is always going to be the first index. So it will not be 1, it will be the 0th index. So 0, 1, 2. It goes by the arrangement of when you actually added the name. So we added Bob first, so it will be the 0th index. Then we added Mike, that'll be the first index. Then we added Botch, so that'll be the second index. So if we want to get Mike, the one with the most aura, then we can do names.get 1 to get Mike. And if we want to get the size of this set of names, we could do println. It's very intuitive. Names.size, right? And you don't want to have anything in any parameters in size because it takes no parameters. Get takes 1 parameter, which is the index in this case. So we can do execute real quick, making sure, and it will print 3, which is the size of this list. So now that we have all of this out of the way, let's move on to conditional statements. So for a conditional statement, usually you want to have a variable that you can actually have certain conditions for. Let's just choose int size, right, is equal to 6. Okay, int size equals 6, right? So if we wanted to have a set of conditions for this, we could use something called if. So if size is, say, greater than or equal to 6. Well, what does that mean? We could say, I don't know, system.out.println. It's always just common courtesy just to put ln to make it easier to read. You can just put, wow, that's big. And for every if that you want to have an else. So we can say else. You do not need a condition for else because it's just, if the condition is not true, then you can just have another output and say, wow, that's small, right? And then make sure to add your semicolon. And so what will this do? Well, I'll let it execute to make sure it's working properly. And yeah, it's going to print, wow, that's big. So what actually happened here? Well, we first initialized a variable, and then it went through this set of conditions where if size is greater than or equal to 6. Well, our size here is 6, and since it's equal to 6, it's going to print out, wow, that's big. If I were to change this to 7 instead of 6, 7, right? Then it should print, wow, that's small. And as I said, it will print, wow, that's small, because 6 is less than 7, right? So now that we've done that, you might be wondering, well, okay, what if I have a set of conditions, more than one condition, right? And then what you can do is you can have an else if, or an elif, as I like to call it. So you'd have else if, and let's say the size is greater than 6 and or greater than or equal to 6, but it's less than 7, like 6, 7, right? Less than 7. Okay. And then we add our, and this ampersand sign twice just basically means that these two conditions have to be met. If one condition is not met, its automatically assumption is that it will be false. So if I were to do these two sticks, that would mean or. So if one of these conditions is true, then that would mean that it will actually execute the statement in the conditional. So in this case, I'll just do and for the sake of the problem, and then you can have another else if these two are not true, and then just have system.out.println. Make sure it's right. Println. Wow, that's small. And we can have one right here for saying that's medium size. Alright, cool. And so now what will happen, we'll execute it real quickly. Oh wait, I forgot to add a semicolon here. Yeah, I'm just going to give that. Always make sure to have your semicolon, otherwise it will give you an error. So yeah, and it'll say, oh, that's medium size. So it basically what happened here is it checked if size is greater than or equal to 7, size is 6, so it will not run through this. It'll do the else if. So else if only works if the if statement before it is not true. You can run many else ifs, so if else if is not true, then the next else if will run. Right, so that's what else if is. So else if size is greater than 6 but less than 7, that's medium size, and that is true because 6 is less than 7 and also equal to 6. So you can have that. That's medium size. You can put this as or, and so. And so our final thing that we'll talk about today, so I'm almost running out of time here, is loops. So let me just move on real quickly. So there's two types of loops. There's a for loop and a while loop. So what we can do is we'll have a for loop, which just basically says account with an index for int I. We can initialize a variable inside the for loop, by the way. If for int I equal to 0, you always kind of want to have your colons. So, I is less than, say, 5, and we can have I plus plus. Right. And you can have system.out.println count, or yeah, count, and we can have plus I. And so if I run this, what will exactly happen is it will just iterate. It will start with 0, and it'll say count 0, count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4. And why will it not go up to 5? Because I has to be less than 5. So when it goes to 5, it will check the condition and see, oh, I is not less than 5. It is equal to 5. So it will not print count is equal to 5. And as we're running out of time here, I think I'll have to make another video explaining to you real quickly what while loops and enhanced for loops are. So stay tuned for that. And I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. In our next video, we'll continue with enhanced for loops and while loops. So thank you for listening, and have a great day.